everyone to more Sewing with Michele. Today, I have the pleasure of showing you one of my favorite things that I got for quilting and cutting fabric many, many years ago. Basically, my friend Jennifer had recommended it, and once I tried it, I was simply hooked. And I love to use it for squaring up my blocks and to cut out things. And the item is Matilda's own rotating cutting mat. So it's basically a cutting mat on a Lazy Susan. So it makes things easier. You don't have to contort your body to make these cuts. I love it. Can't wait to show you more about it. Let's get going on today's More Sewing with Michele. Okay, so I want to talk to you a little bit about the features that this mat has. So this is the mat itself. You can see that it's pretty large. It's 15 inches in diameter. It's on a Lazy Susan, so you can see that it goes wherever I want. If I really wanted to entertain myself, I could spin it a lot, which I do often when I'm trying to think. So let me talk a little bit about the features. So you'll see that it is marked in 1-inch increments. It also has the 1/8 marks, which are always super important for us quilters. In addition, it has the numbering from center out. You'll see that it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But it also goes from 1 to 15 across. So there's two different ways to actually measure, depending upon what type of cutting you're doing. I love that it's given us both those measurements as well as all the little ticks. Now, on the other 1-inch squares, we have 1/2-inch marks here that you can see. So they've thought of lots of different things to make it easier for us cutting. It is a self-healing mat, which is awesome. We know that that means that as we cut, those lines will heal in. And just like any other rotary cutting mat, I like to make sure that I try not to use so much the marks on the actual mat for cutting, because that can potentially wear away the marks on there and also leave divots and grooves. So I try to use my ruler for measuring and doing the cutting, but it always is nice to have this here and to have those lineup marks too for if you're trying to plan out your fabric. So I love that about it. It has no slip feet on the back here. So you can see this is the back of it, and it's got these little grip things, which are perfect. I love that I can put it on my table and feel secure that it's not going to move around. As well as that, when I cut, you'll see that the base, doesn't matter where I push, the base is secure. Now, I had other rotary cutters that were on a turntable type thing before, and I tell you, they are inferior. I don't use them anymore. In fact, I don't even know where they are. A lot of them, the bases come off, so you have to put the top on when you want to spin, which is problematic. And then other ones where if it's a square, I've had where I'm cutting towards the end of that square and it topples and it pushes down. You can see this one is secure all the way around. On the side here, it's got the base is the same side as the top. So you have the support you need for the cutting that you need to do. And you have the security that it's not going to shift. Now it has a little bit of a grip to it, which is always beneficial when you're cutting fabric. Super durable. And if you do need to clean it for whatever reason, you can always use the mat cleaner that I had on a previous episode. But you're going to want to use a damp cloth with just cool water and wipe it down to get that the luster back to where it was before. You never want to submerge this type of mat into water because there are ball bearings. Now in here, what makes this mat so smooth inside of here, it's got a bunch of ball bearings. So it gives it a nice smooth ride all the way around. The base, like I said, is secured to the bottom, so you're not going to have to worry about anything coming apart. This is a pretty darn good, secure cutting mat. And the beauty of it, absolutely, the reason why I fell in love with it and the reason why my friend Jennifer recommended is if you're cutting a particular square and you can do the first two cuts, but then oftentimes what happens is we lift up that ruler and we have to shift the fabric around. But the beauty of this is you simply take your finger, put it to the other side, and you can do your cuts. And I'll be doing a demo a little bit later. What else? There's no wobbling, like I said before. This mat is, the parts are made in Japan, but it's assembled in Australia, which is why I have one of my Australia quilts in back of me. And other than that, I can't think of anything else. It does turn 360 degrees. And like I said, you can go round and round and round with this baby and just have a lot of fun with it. I love mine. I've been using it for absolutely, I want to say for about 9 to 10 years. That's how much I've fallen in love with it. And there's nothing else that I have seen that's come out on the market that can replace it. It's just a wonderful mat that you're going to love to use with any of your cutting. And let's get to the part where I show you exactly how I have it in use. So let me show you this wonderful Matilda's Own rotating cutting mat in action. So you can see I have it set up on the table. I grabbed a few of my rulers to kind of show you. Let me go ahead and expose my blade and let's talk about fussy cutting. Now fussy cutting, this is a fussy cutting ruler that makes fussy cutting easier. But the advantage to this is that it leaves the open part. So let's take this fabric down here. I've got this beautiful fabric. It's kind of like a French fabric. It's a little scrap. I made some placemats with it. But I'm going to put my ruler down and then I can slide this around to decide what I want to show. I'm going to try to keep that house in the picture with a little bit of the sunflower. So then I'm going to hold that, basically take it, cut, and now I can simply turn it to make the other cut. Everything stays in place. Turn it to make the other cut. And we got the one last side. And just like that, I have fussy cutted a specific thing. Now that's why this turntable rotary cutting mat makes things so easy, because you can rotate and you're not going to have to reposition your fabric and your ruler as much. It makes things more precise and more accurate. So that's the fussy cutting, which is one of the things I love to do on this mat. The other thing is sometimes we have some of these rulers that have funky shapes. So they're not as conducive to making two cuts. So I'm going to put this one down. And once again, using my rotary cutter, I'm going to go ahead and push down, secure, make my cut. I'm going to make a second cut, pull those away, and once again, bum ba da dum, just turn it slightly. Once again, hold down, cut. I'm going to do two cuts again. I like to pull my fabric away just so that I can make sure that everything's lined up correctly. And I've got the one last cut to do. Actually, I fibbed. There's one little area here where we cut off the dog ears. But just like that, using this system, I have precision with my cutting, with minimal, problems that can come up and arise. So it doesn't matter if you have a difficult shape, if you're using stencils, it's all going to be the same thing. The beauty is how you can just slide it to where you need it to be and make your additional cutting. Now, another thing that I do a lot of is half square triangles. And I'm going to put one of my half square triangles right smack dab in the middle of my Matilda's Own. And I have the Tucker trimmer that I had in a past episode. I'm telling you, this is just like my glue stick and just like my professional tool turner. This is one of these that I go to all the time. And if you are a quilter and if you're doing traditional quilt blocks, half square triangles, like I said before, they are a foundation to lots of the different blocks that we make. So I use this all the time. And I have found that it's easier to make something a little bigger, square it up so that you have precision. So using my Tucker trimmer, I'm going to go ahead and place it down. I'm going to line up that line. I'm going to then, the ruler's in place, turn it, and then I am going to make my first cut. And now I can go backwards a little bit to make that additional cut. So I've got two sides done now. So now I can pick this up, rotate my mat to the other side, line it up once again, and we will go down and cut this baby down to a 4-inch block. Or actually, let's use the half marks. Let me go over to the other side, and we're going to go to 4.5. That way we'll have minimal waste. I can go ahead then, make my cut, rotate it, and cut one more time. And just like that, I have a perfect 4.5-inch half square triangle. So I love that. So most of the time when we do half square triangles, we're doing multiples at a time. So I can buzz through these. I can do another one real quick just to show you how easy it is. Let me put this on the table. We'll make this one a little bit smaller. We'll go down to a 4-inch size. First cut, rotate, pull away. Second cut, rotate, pick it up, reposition, making sure my lines mark up. I'm going to rotate it back. So I love this. It can rotate any direction. Once again, having it there, make your last cut. And now I have a 4-inch half square triangle. It's just really easy. Now, I love tools that make quilting or sewing easier, more pleasurable, and the best part for me is more precise. And that's what this Matilda's Own cutting mat is going to do for you. Because you have less time that you have to handle the fabric when you're cutting it. So, I can't tell you how many times when, you're cutting, you kind of contort your body to make those cuts. You don't have to anymore. And when you contort your body to make funky cuts, not only does that put pressure on your shoulder, your wrist, and your elbow, but when you press down, it can also cause more problems. So don't contort anymore. Get your Matilda's mat so that you can cut, rotate, cut, rotate, cut, rotate. It really does make things so much easier. And it works with all different types of mats. This is one of our Quilter Select rulers here. And I can use that, and you can see that there's no difference. I can cut. Oh, my fabric's not behaving yet. That's a whole nother different story. Oftentimes we have fabrics that don't behave. So I'm going to expose my blade, make a cut, rotate, make a cut. So it doesn't matter what you have. You can see that the precision is there. The fact that the Matilda's Own kind of grips your fabrics, and then you can do your cutting without having to reposition your fabrics. It's just that easy. And that's why I love this mat. I've been using mine for years, and I know that you're going to fall in love with it too. So isn't it amazing that in this day and age, someone in Australia can design and manufacture something that's so beneficial for all of us in the world, and especially for us here in America? I love how accessible things are to everyone in the world, and especially something so amazing and so good like our Matilda's Own rotating cutting mat. It's really going to make your life and all the cutting more precise and better for you. So there's two different ways that you can pick up this wonderful rotating cutting mat. The first is to go to moors-sew.com, or you can click on the link in the description of this video, and both of those will take you to the More Sewing with Michele landing page. Keep in mind when you're there, you can click on today's episode and pick up your Matilda's Own cutting rotating mat. And also, at any time, you can kind of go back to some of those items that you were on the fence with and you now know that you can't live without. So you can utilize that for any and all. Everything's listed there. I hope that you pick yours up today, and I know that it's going to make your cutting more precise, more pleasurable, And we're going to get rid of how we contort our body when we cut things. We want it to be pleasurable, easy, and simple. It's as simple as that. So what do you think? I know that I'm not alone out here. My personal feelings on this Matilda's own cutting mat is that it'll benefit anyone that sews, that has to cut precise pieces. It doesn't matter if you're a seamstress, it doesn't matter if you're a quilter or if you're doing machine embroidery. This is going to be so beneficial for every sewer out there. The ease of it, how it completely swivels 360 degrees, no pressure on your body when you're doing that. It swivels in both directions as well. So if you're left or if you're right-handed, or if you like to swivel on your left but also swivel on your right, we got you covered. And if you noticed, it is smooth. It is super smooth because of those ball bearings. This is made to last. It's super durable. And I love that when you use your rotary cutter, you can get precision. And it's just one more thing. You know, having a sharp blade on your rotary cutter, having the right rulers, and having a mat that makes the cutting more precise is going to make your final thing that you're sewing look its best. So, if you are fussy cutting and you're trying to get things precision as far as what you're cutting, this is going to be a breeze. Don't forget all those rulers that we have out there. If it's a Dresden plate ruler, if it's this one, which is half of an octagon, a tumbler, we have so many different rulers that we use for so many different things. And even if it's not a ruler at all, if you're just following a pattern or something that you need to cut that's precise, that may be a little wonky, this is going to make that job so much easier. And once again, we have the Tucker trimmer. I love this thing. I use it all the time. But this, when you trim up, it just makes things easier. You can do one side, you can cut two sides, but the benefit is you're not going to contort your body to do those cuts anymore. And you don't have to feel like you have to contort your body, because you can just pick up the ruler and simply move your little mat right along and do your cuts. It's just that simple. And keep in mind, this Matilda's own will work with any ruler out there. Or if you're just doing paper and you have a stencil or something, it really is that great. Like I said, it goes both ways, super smooth and durable. I can push down in all the different areas, and there's no wobbling, there's no funkiness that you get with this ruler. I mean, with this, excuse me, cutting mat. It just really is that good. And like I said, I had ones that I loved before, but as soon as I got my hands on this baby, I haven't gone back to any out there. I think it is absolutely the hands down favorite rotating cutting mat that we have out there in the industry. And I know you're going to fall in love with it too. So, fussy cutting, squaring up your half square triangles, different shapes. This is the mat for you. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of More Sewing with Michele. I have so enjoyed you spending a little bit time here with me today, and I look forward to next week, Monday at 10 o'clock, for the next More Sewing with Michele. Until then, you guys have happy and safe sewing, and I'll see you next week. Ta-da! Goodbye!